Welcome to Influential Breed. I am so excited for you to meet our guest today. Ballerina turned content creator and seems like building a media empire. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to chat.
I am too. I don't know if you heard, but I said you are building a media empire. I don't know if that's your plan, but I think we're going to speak that into existence.
We're going to manifest it.
Yes, yes, because I think you're
Absolutely, that's a
almost
great.
already there with
You know,
straight to
we're 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 taking it. We're taking steps there, but this is our one of our steps. Talking to you.
Yes, and I'm so excited. So we've got a lot to cover, but let's just start. So you have Straight to the Hips, baby, the blog. You have TV segments. You're a recipe developer, content creator. Where should we start? So maybe let's start at the beginning. I know this started off as a hobby for you, but so when you first started, I assume you knew it was going to be a hobby, but like what were you writing about? What were you blogging about at the time?
It's such a funny story because when I first introduced myself to new friends, new faces, new readers, and I tell them I'm a former professional ballerina turned food and cocktail creator, they kind of look at me a little funny because, ballet and food don't necessarily go hand in hand. My rich recipes, my cocktails. But it was, I always loved to cook. I always loved to entertain and create food experiences. But it wasn't until I moved from Boston, which I was a complete city girl, and we moved out to Western Massachusetts, which is a very slow pace of life in a way, but it's very gorgeous. It's farm to table, it's access to produce and orchards and dairy farms. And I got excited because I could finally get those ingredients fresh from the farm and start to experiment. And one day after a really successful Thanksgiving dinner where I had 16 people around the table, everyone had a wonderful time. Instead of emailing those recipes to my friends, I decided I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to write. I'm going to talk. And it really started around the dinner table. And, we were starting with recipes at first that were already created that I liked, that I wanted to share. And then about a year in, I started creating my own recipes because I found in the early blog world, we're talking the mid 2000s, a lot of recipe blogs, the recipes were not necessarily well tested, or they might not be written for someone who was at a beginner to intermediate stage. There was a lot of assumptions that you knew how to make a roux, that you knew what a macaron batter should look like. I didn't. And we found this niche that, we took step by step photographs so that people could see, oh, that's what a roux looks like when it's nicely cooked. It should be a nut brown, it shouldn't be burned. Or, hey, that is a little bit soupy there for that batter. And we really focus in on from scratch cooking, clean, beautiful ingredients that taste like they should, and teaching techniques and recipes to those who have a passion for food and drink in a very approachable manner. I want you to feel like you're walking into my door, into my kitchen. I'm going to give you a glass of wine and a spatula and put you to work.
Well, it sounds like you were very thoughtful in your approach to your blog early on, even before you moved into making it a full-time business. Was that your intent? Did you feel like you were going to have a wide audience? There were a lot of people like you at the time, or were you really just kind of blogging for yourself and your friends and family?
What a great question. At first it was for me to share. I had a couple of small children at home, and I'd always been working. I had turned professional, as they say, into professional ballet at age 14. So I'd always been motivated to create, to work, to aim high. And when I found myself suddenly without sort of that project separate from the family, I had to make something. I couldn't help myself. And when I developed the blog, it was with the intent to help teach, educate, but to bring the conversation to the table. And as we started moving forward, we realized that there was a space here and there was a voice needed. And I love hearing from my readers, especially long-term readers, where they have cooked through my entire index and they now cook dinner parties. They cook big Thanksgiving dinners. They will try something that they wouldn't have even imagined trying at first, and they're there for the journey. So it was definitely a thoughtful experience, I think, because having been a ballerina where you train in technique, you train in repetition. You spend hours at the bar just perfecting this movement. Well, you do the same thing when you're cooking, when you have a technique that you want to get down pat. So it's definitely a combination, and it's just been a pleasure to see it take off into all these new avenues of not only the blog, but into television, into printed media, into the social media scene. It's been amazing.
Well, I think it's a natural transition into media because just your recipes and the outcome of it, it's so beautiful. It's almost it looks like art actually. The pictures that you share, it's just really beautiful. But I know you have several signature cocktails and desserts, but talk to us about one of your favorite cocktails that you like to make. I mean, it's Friday, we're approaching the weekend.
Oh, thank goodness it's ready for, champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Let's break it out.
Yes.
Um, Cocktails are one of my loves. They're something I'm passionate about, and it's so funny because I am self-taught, but I pick up from master mixologists, and I work with different brands on cocktail recipes and exploring their spirits. And there's nothing like a great, well-balanced cocktail to start your weekend. And if you see those photographs, on my blog, it's all about the presentation, but we don't scrimp on the taste. So my favorite, especially this time of year, is a elevated Aperol spritz, which is a traditional Italian aperitif. It means a drink to start the meal to whet the
Mm.
appetite. And traditionally, it's made with Prosecco, possibly champagne, a little bit of Aperol, which is a bitter orange liqueur. Sometimes you'll have a touch of citrus. There's a little bit of simple syrup, and then there's soda water. And it's very simple. And I drink them all summer long. I mean, they're fantastic. But I wanted something for the winter, for the holiday season. So I elevated a classic. I put my little twist on it. So instead of prosecco, we're using champagne because there's never a wrong time for champagne in my world,
Never.
and and we're using a cranberry and orange infused simple syrup. And simple syrups are a sugar syrup that we use to sweeten drinks because it absorbs completely into that drink, and it has the flavors of Christmas. It's that tart cranberry, that bright citrus in there, and we combine that with the champagne, and we have a pop of the Aperol, and so it's sweet, a little spicy, and then the soda water, and it is addictive. If you throw a couple of frozen cranberries in there and a little bit of a floral garnish on top, I mean, you have a party in your kitchen.
Oh, I mean, I'm trying to just memorize the recipe, but I know I can probably find it on your site because there's going to be a lot of Christmas parties to go to, and that will be my
Absolutely.
contribution to the parties.
I love that. Please let me know how it goes because it's one of those cocktails you don't even need a shaker. It's five
See,
ingredients and that's it.
and then I can pretend like I'm a mixologist.
Yes, yes. Not pretending you are.
There you go. The one drink that I can make, but
But that's the beauty of the site is it's empowering people not only in the kitchen to perform those recipes, to create dinner parties or tablescapes, but to know that you can whip up more than a gin and tonic. Like you are completely capable with those directions, with those photographs, with someone cheerleading you on in the background. That would be me.
well, I think that's a great segue. So I know you mentioned when we were off camera that you host mixology classes. Is that in person? Is it online? Or how would someone be able to learn directly from you?
That's an amazing question. So currently, I do in-person cocktail and mixology clinics all over New England. But if you're interested, we are getting interested here at Straight to the Hips Baby in offering virtual lessons. So if you wanted to have, a couple girlfriends over for a night of cocktail making, we can teach you via a streaming platform, and I will give you a grocery list of items. And then we'll come to the kitchen, we'll make up a couple of cocktails, we'll have a good time, we'll have some giggles, some conversation. And at the end of that, you will have an arsenal of at least 3 cocktail recipes
Oh,
to break out this holiday season.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Three drinks. Okay.
Mhm.
And you're still having fun. You're celebrating with your friends. I love that. Love it. Um, so you mentioned the streaming network. I think it's a good transition because just in the way you talk about the work you do, you're very passionate. And I think most people would love to be able to make a living from their passion. So tell us how you've done that. How have you been able to really make this a full-time career and be a creator doing what you enjoy?
It's a journey, I'm in a space also where I help to advise fellow food bloggers or food content creators, and this comes up very often because we want to learn from those who have trod that path before us. And I'm very honest and upfront about it. I transitioned from my career in dance to being a full-time mother to being a full-time content creator. And my advice would be to first find that passion, find that item, that topic, that food POV, or even your specialty point of view that you feel like your audience needs to hear. Because to create as much as you will have to make this career a full-time sort of gig, you have to love it. You have to breathe it. And as you start to go forward, figure out what your medium is. Is it going to be a blog? Is it going to be TV? Is it going to be in print? You want to start to create a pathway that even if you can't transition to full-time work as a content creator, you can still feed that passion, feed the skill set, but also feed the energy, the momentum to go forward. And I will be very honest, it took about 5 years of that momentum where it was a very, very intensive hobby that I adored to get to that position about 2 years ago where we suddenly came to a point where I could be a full-time content creator because I had planted all those seeds over the years and refined the skill set, refined the talent, refined the, making friends and learning, always learning, absorb everything. It's having that growth mindset. I think that's most important because if you ever stop being curious, stop asking questions, stop really being passionate about your topic, that's when it will stall and you'll have to reevaluate. So continue having that motivation to just explore your topic of choice. And for me, that was food and cocktails and home entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The growth mindset, and then really, if you're rooted in something you enjoy, other outlets and avenues seem to kind of build upon that. So you enjoy recipes, you enjoy cooking and making beautiful art, and that seems to have created a path for you in so many other areas. So tell us a little bit more about the streaming, where we can find you, really.
Absolutely. So my food point of view, as we've been speaking about, is from scratch cooking with lush, light-filled scenes filled with flowers. It's very uplifting, but it's not overwhelming. And as I've moved through this content creation world, I've found my audience, but I've also found sponsors and brands and streaming services that were interested in my unique sort of window to the world. So I am a featured creator on Bloom TV Network, and that is a streaming platform that focuses in on the beauty of flowers. And I really simply adore creating content for them because not only do my scenes incorporate florals and flowers as sort of window dressing, I include a lot of flower centric ingredients. Many of my cocktails have floral liqueurs and garnishes on top. And when I create these huge tablescapes, everything is overflowing with baskets of flowers and fruits. It's all about bringing the nature that is around us outside into the home to enjoy with our guests. So you can find several episodes on, oh goodness, what do I have? Home entertaining and creating brunches and girls' nights out to easy appetizers, picnics out in the grass, holiday cocktails, a Thanksgiving table set for 12. Anything that you can ask for in regards to recipes and home entertaining, I got you covered.
I love a good brunch.
Oh, me too. Bottomless mimosas and
Yeah.
some Eggs Benedict. Yes.
Well, Jessie, how else can our viewers find you to learn more about you and your recipes? Where else can they reach you?
Amazing. You can always find all of my work. We have over 150 recipes, as well as food, lifestyle, and home entertaining advice and posts at straight2thehipsbaby.com. You can find me on any social media platform at Straight to the Hips Baby. You can also find me on Clubhouse, on YouTube, on local New England NBC channels. If you if you search for my name, you'll find me. And I will love to hear from you. DM me, message me, ask me questions. As you can see, I love to talk. But more than that, I really love to learn from you and to see what you create with your own two hands.
Thank you so much, Jessie. I've really enjoyed chatting with you today.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.